The Pareto Principle. This principle is also known as the 80-20 rule or law of the vital few. According to the Pareto Principle, 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes, or 80% of the outputs comes from 20% of the inputs. The Pareto Principle was named after Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. He noticed that 80% of the peas in his garden came from 20% of his plants. He also noticed that 80% of the land in Italy at the time was owned by 20% of the population. A real-life example is that the richest 20% of the world's population earns about 80% of the income. The 80-20 rule does not always apply to all situations. In reality, it can be anything such as 50-50, 70-30, 90-10, or 99-1. However, as a general rule, it has many useful applications of the principle that causes and effects or inputs and outputs are not one-to-one. Let's look at an application of the Pareto Principle to daily life. You only have a finite amount of time each day. The Pareto Principle can help you determine how to spend your time each day. Begin by writing down your daily goals. From your list of goals for the day, which are the 20% that are the most important? So if you wrote down 10 goals for the day, 2 of these goals are your priority. Prioritize these 20% of your goals as they will be responsible for 80% of your results for the day. Begin each day by working on your prioritized items on your list. Let's look at another application to a work situation. Let's say you have 50 clients. 20% or 10 of these clients will be responsible for 80% of your sales in general. Analyze your sales and determine the percentage of sales from your top 10 clients. Are these clients giving you the majority of your sales? If so, it makes sense to focus more time on these clients as they are driving the majority of your sales. These top clients can give you insights into the types of clients you should be pursuing for greater sales. What are the characteristics of these clients? Studying these clients' characteristics provides valuable information on the profiles of the types of clients you should be spending your time on. Let's look at another application of choosing new habits to adopt. There are countless habits you could develop to be more successful. In order to maximize the benefits you gain from new habits, you want to choose those few habits that give you the most bang for your buck. Here, the Pareto Principle can be of huge value. Start by writing down 10 habits you're considering adopting. For example, meditating every day or exercising 3 times a week. From your list, pick out the 20% or top 2 that will give you 80% improvement. The remaining 8 items will only be responsible for a marginal 20% gain in your effectiveness. Let's look at another example of the space taken up by your clothing. Most of the time, you only use a small percentage of your clothing. Let's apply the Pareto Principle to free up your space. According to the Pareto Principle, 80% of the time you only use 20% of your clothing. This means that you can eliminate a large amount of clothing that you rarely use that is taking up your space. Up to 80% of your space taken up by clothing can be freed up. Let's look at another application to your entertainment expenses. The Pareto Principle can be used to dramatically reduce your entertainment expenses. Write down a list of your monthly entertainment expenses. 20% of the items you spend your money on will be responsible for 80% of your happiness. The remaining 80% of the items you spend money on for entertainment only bring you 20% of your happiness. Thus, you can eliminate those 80% for a small impact on your happiness but a large impact on your savings.